Kuzampula, you're watching Bhutan This Week with me, Kulaute Guragai. Our top stories this week. His Majesty on a royal tour to parts of country most affected by COVID pandemic. Opposition gives 3 recommendations to government on managing the pandemic efficiently. Reporting dates for students and trainees kept flexible, says REB and Labour Ministry. His Majesty the King is in Samrup Jonkar on a royal tour to parts of the country most affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. His Majesty is accompanied by the Prime Minister.
Today, His Majesty visited Samrup Choling and granted audience to the Tungkok Task Force. While in Samrup Jonkar, His Majesty received updates on the lockdown from the Samrup Jonkar COVID-19 Task Force and also visited Chomosangka to meet the Tungkok Task Force and frontline workers and review the situation in the Tungkok. Most of Samrup Jonkar is in lockdown at present. Before arriving in Samrup Jonkar, His Majesty was in Gyalifu, where His Majesty granted audiences to the Prime Minister, Serpong COVID-19 Task Force, the SUPs and other frontline workers across the Zongkok operating during the lockdown. During the audiences to Task Force teams, His Majesty reminded them that it was important to always remain up to date with new scientific findings and global developments on COVID-19 and use the knowledge to update our strategies to manage the pandemic. His Majesty has been on tour in affected areas since January 23rd, having visited Punakha, Wandifada, Tsirang and Serpong so far, and working with the Zongkok Task Force teams, the SUPs and other frontline workers. Pup KM for BBS News.
The opposition party has asked the government to keep future lockdowns short and effective. This is one of 3 recommendations made to the government for better management of the COVID pandemic. Through a press release, the DPT stated that it is high time to rethink and change the way pandemic is managed so that it doesn't hurt the people and the country's economy. The other 2 recommendations are to streamline healthcare services during lockdowns and to formulate a comprehensive economic recovery plan, including specific revival plans for key economic sectors.
In principle, we also agree that lockdown is the best strategy to combat and contain the virus. But the longer it goes, it also affects the society and the economy as a whole. So based on the experiences and lessons from the 3 lockdowns so far, we can re-strategize and innovate the whole approach to contact tracing, mass screening, quarantining, and isolating, and so forth. Second, we need to give special attention to medical care of people with comorbidities, and more so COVID-positive patients with comorbidities. Third one is, it is high time to look seriously into revival of the economy. Therefore, we suggest the government to come up with a comprehensive economic revival plan and also separate revival plans for key sectors like tourism, construction, SMEs, industries, and also export.
Thimphu police arrested 9 individuals for allegedly breaching lockdown protocols during the recent lockdown. They will be charged for breaching public order and tranquility as per the penal code. According to the police, an individual operated a business during the blackout period, while some entered and exited the red buildings and gambled.
2 individuals were arrested as they entered a red building in Olakha. As per the police, the offenders said they were unaware that the building was marked as a red building. And the individuals were also quarantined. While in Babisa, a shopkeeper was detained for operating business during the blackout period on the 16th of last month. The police also apprehended a man in Bebina for exiting a red building. According to police, all the individuals are in the age group of 18 to 50. If convicted, they will be sentenced to a prison term ranging from 3 months to a year. and in Juishina, 5 people were arrested for gambling. They will be charged for gambling as well as for breaching public order and tranquility. For now, police released all the individuals on surety. The police will be forwarding the cases to the court soon. Pima Saldun Singh, BBS News.
Classes 10 and 12 under the Thimphu Thomde will do their board exams in schools identified within their respective megazones. This is one of the strategies the Education Ministry has developed to conduct examinations in the worst-case scenario of an Omicron outbreak. The board exams will be held as scheduled from 28 February by implementing the strategies. The students in Thimphu Thomde will get to select schools till 19th February.
In large towns like Thimphu, where most students are day scholars, they will do the exams in their megazones.
So if you're in the North Megazone, then you obviously cannot go to Yanchepu to do your Tesla. So this creates a lot of inconvenience, Mevala. But if you can devise a system where all the students who are in the North Megazone can do their exams in the schools in the North Megazone, then you solve the problem, Mevala. So this is where we are looking at using Dichuchuling High School and Nima High School as the exam centers for students in the North Megazone. So we have students that are staying outside of the Thomla. Students staying in Honso, Kastabchu, Jemina. So these also, the ministry will make provisions so that they can come and stay within the city.
Similarly, schools in low-risk areas will conduct examinations in containment mode for boarding students, while day schools will have day scholars walk in. Schools in high-risk remote areas will have all their students in containment during the examinations. And schools in high-risk urban areas and red zones will relocate the students, teachers and supervising examiners to a safer location within that district or another district. If relocation is not possible, they'll function in containment mode. Where possible, the ministry will also facilitate students to do the examinations in their district instead of traveling to their schools for examinations. Meanwhile, in case of an outbreak during the examinations, schools in containment will identify a small dormitory as an isolation facility to keep positive students and a classroom where they can continue doing the exams. More than 26,000 class 10 and 12 students will sit for the board exams. Choni Dama for BBS News.
For the past few weeks, poultry farmers in the country were struggling to meet demands for eggs in the market. Now a different scenario is unfolding. Poultry farms are producing eggs now. However, due to imported eggs and the lockdown, farmers say there is no market. This is what is happening in Sarpang.
The Sarpang Layer Cooperative has 1,000 cartons of eggs, and they claim they are not able to sell.
Sanambagi ani gong ya sense men ji junila ngagi beoti dedi tapma deo thein de nga chigi chilu khala gobe mi khatam gobe mi deoda nga chigi jungi beron siju lejumbe cham chasimle jale ani michel loe deo thabbe de ani beochindi nga chigi duktablo nga chigi rango rangdo duktablo e dinamisame phembawoni
Sarpang Layer Cooperative said due to lockdown and strict COVID protocols, transporting eggs to Thimphu has become difficult. Moreover, the arrival of imported eggs coincided with increasing egg production in farms.
Ya tani bedo se suni nila te dina ngachi sugomi nedin chora te ngachi nagi gopendi chulu te ngachi nale ya Thimphu thekar do ta chubegi nawachi na chubache name same leshum joni me te bana ko manebe te tranship be joda shin chala jumbe membe ngachi gondodi.
The Dzongkhag livestock officer said local eggs are expensive compared to imported eggs.
BLD seta tele ngachege livestock department na issue bebe machige ya trampel benige chapter pigeze lapchela indigi berote khorade so consultante jomato obsessioni.
While a tray of imported eggs is sold at 320 ngitam, the price of local eggs starts at 350 ngitam. The poultry farmer said the production cost cannot be recovered if they lower the price. But the livestock office has been helping farmers sell eggs since the lockdown. For Karmawang Din Sarpang, Kinjang Haden, PBS News.
As per the National COVID-19 Task Force, some colleges and institutes are warning students and trainees of delisting or cancelling admissions if they fail to report on the scheduled date. The National COVID Task Force has directed the regional and Dzongkhag task forces across the country to issue a letter of concern to the students and trainees to assure them of their admissions and enrollment.
The Royal University of Bhutan and the Labour Ministry said the reporting dates for students are kept flexible depending on the situation. However, online classes are being conducted for now.
Teda kong on sumi di sudi te tab demi di sulu nga chigi lobjung sara rabjin te on matsumi di sulu nga chigi te kong nga chigi te nyenda da di sukane benimi te kong di sugi tenle de nga chi dechin mambi emi di sudi nga chigi lobjung di disi de achi papi chap.
Meanwhile, the task force has directed the relevant agencies to duly consider the late reporting. This is because the students and trainees from the high-risk areas and red zones are not able to travel due to a shortage of quarantine facilities. Bima Saldun Sring, PBS News.
The Office of the Attorney General has registered a case against Ugen Auto with the Thimphu District Court on Tuesday. Ugen Auto is accused of evading green tax worth 15 million ngitam while importing 75 dumper trucks between 2018 and 2020.
According to the Office of the Attorney General, Ugen Auto did not declare the 75 dumper trucks at the point of entry as mandated by the Customs Act. The office said the defendant thereby benefited by evading green tax. Import of dumper trucks, like any other vehicle, is liable for 10% green tax as per the Customs Act. The Act also states that a person will have to pay a fine of 50% of the value of the goods evaded in addition to the amount of the customs duty. The company is therefore liable for fines and penalties amounting to 75 million. As per the OAG, the company paid the evaded amount of 15 million nyatam only when the Anti-Corruption Commission started the investigation. While the defendant claimed that he was unaware and that he did not evade the tax intentionally, the OAG refutes this claim. The OAG said a staff who was responsible for declaring the vehicles to the RRCO informed the relevant officials via email about the non-declaration of the dumper trucks in 2019. The office also requested the court to arrest the defendant. Kilitim for BBS News.
The Department of Revenue and Customs has extended the due dates for the filing of tax returns by a month. According to the department, this is owing to the difficulties faced in gathering documents due to the lockdown. The due date for filing personal income taxes is till the end of March and till the end of April for business and corporate income taxes. Filing taxes after the due date is liable to fines and interest on tax payable. The recent heavy snow has created havoc for some highlanders in the country. More than 50 yaks are either dead or missing in Dagala Gewak in Thimphu. They belong to about 35 households.
A farmer wades through the snow looking for yaks. Some are using every little resource they have in the search. But it is too late for some. The yaks died allegedly due to starvation, and farmers did not get compensation since it is a natural death. Some yaks are found, but they are stuck. The yaks are let free to graze in the mountains. There are 43 households with 4,000 yaks. People of Wandro, Dundro and Getala Chioks rear yaks. The Dagala Gub said the snow is at least 5 feet thick, making the search a difficult task. These places have been receiving snow for 7 consecutive days. The Thimphu Zonda said they are not able to assess the situation due to the heavy snowfall. Yak is the main source of livelihood for the highlanders here. As time runs out, all they can do now is hope that their animals are alive and return home sooner or later. Kelsang Choden, BBS News.
The people of Khate and Khamegewaks in Gaza are worried after recent heavy snow damaged their greenhouses. About 100 greenhouses collapsed earlier this month. Farmers raise chili seedlings in the greenhouse at this time and transplant them when the weather becomes warmer.
Bended metal frames and ripped plastic. The greenhouses gave way under the weight of heavy snow. It looks like farmers will not be able to produce and sell chilies this time. Gaza received the heaviest snowfall at 50 centimeters thick. It was the heaviest snow in recent times, and greenhouses are not built to withstand the weight of snow. But farmers were able to collect the vegetables that they were growing during the incident. There are about 170 households in these two gyeogs, and almost every household has a greenhouse. Greenhouses were supplied since 2017, with farmers paying 20% of the cost. Some of these greenhouses cost as high as 70,000 ngutum each. The greenhouses were supplied with financial support from the government and JICA. Agriculture officials said they can repair the metal frames but not torn plastics. People said it is still snowing in Gaza, and officials are not able to assess the extent of the damage. For Chenga Dojin Wantipota, this is Tandan Funso for BBS News.
The ongoing road widening project in Ha has left people living along the Ha-Chuzom highway worried. The works along the 50-kilometer highway began in 2016. The cutting works are affecting the stability of the houses built on sloppy land near the highway. The issue is particularly critical in Jenkana and Balamna village of Samarkewak. People are unhappy with the project as retention walls are not built immediately after cutting works are over. Initially, people were told walls would be built immediately.
People here are living in constant fear that their houses might collapse at any time. Cracks on the ground can be seen right in front of their houses. Some say their houses have also developed cracks on walls. Farmlands are also getting eroded, and some have lost apple trees to landslides. People even wrote to the district administration several times.
lam jaki theka hiptalu lam jaki omme tenami semika dinga soda ngachi nami sem ga di yusu shunila indi besichiru neba bombera chapdi yusu shudola balamna gi chiog yuzum chi beojin te chusa damsa asichi mansu chi be yusu shudo ta andi be begane chipti chap machimdalu telalu chime onchasa gi te netang te nisuchira yusu shudola te dile shinche ju anjum beojin te kumba 주탐낼 학디베 때 안좀기 대강이 티디 유스슈돌라
해마 존다 주비기 갑수 베신 때 침동하 버사 집 디수여 버신 디트레라 공기 대니 왈 점디기 유라 때 인디 베스치로 다투 베베다 다 다우 두 뒤나네 베야스루 다투 마네 왈 마쳐위라 때 나치기 다 콘텐트 디수루 콘루 라바친 때 공기 디톨레라 냠디루 감기디 임베 조조 미셀루 남스미 토보도 세슈니라
침삽디 달람제키 똑박 주베신다 ngalutap manduchi thinda ani sadi sukai ka jube te ani benidi ngalu ngapoma subula sadi sukai ani zozo imbala hima thome bala yani timbe imba te ani thome zo yagi sapok malube te ani boda andi ki ka jumala an benidi te wal chichapno se shuila khaskanim tarsondalwe do jidem jiasila te tatukane mindula lense.
People also claim there is no consistency in providing walls to the affected households, and initial survey markings were not followed.
The walgi thekale beru the achichi khayu the 안좀 베미 디스루 주유 베미 디스베체 가데비나 하미 고라 랄치 사호노바 톱디도 마지기 디 다냠베 톱급도 몰 데들레 랄치기 베와친 침기 동할레 바제디라 테 랄치기 대가 유번에 침 동하바 폼메 디 침루 네니메세 마람 몰 제고베세 데데베 디엥아치 하마 아치지 구톰시시 주이세 준돌라.
Hazonda Rabgetobden said the district administration cannot talk about all the issues as the work is done by the Dantak. The administration only carries out surveying works. He, however, said that his office is promptly communicating with the Dantak officials and forwarding them the complaint letters filed by the people. Regarding the road survey, he said the initial one was only a preliminary survey and alignments had to be shifted after risks were assessed and as per technical requirements. He also said cutting works are done as per the public consultation done in 2019, where people agreed to observe the roads right of way. However, the no objection letter submitted by the people also has a clause requesting the authorities to build walls immediately in affected areas. It also states the need for authorities to provide land and other compensations. The district land record officer said people will be compensated once all the cutting works are complete. Hazonda also said Project Dantak is aware of the issues, but works are getting delayed due to the lockdown and cold weather. He said the district administration and Dantak will work together to have the walls built before the monsoon. Walls were reportedly built for a few households as per the priority upon risk assessment. However, people claim all other houses are equally in danger. Meanwhile, Dantak is said to have placed orders for all the required cement, which will reach Ha once lockdown is lifted in Phinsuling. Dantak officials BVS talked to did not share any information. Meanwhile, locals also question the quality of concrete works as they allege that hundreds of bags of cement are being sold illegally. Kipchu, BVS News, Ha.
That is all we have for this week. Thank you for watching.